Hey everybody, Jam and Kenny back at it again with another video for you. Um, I guess a little, just a little freestyling, what I would call, or you know, I think what are we going with? We're gonna go with free balling, aren't
Free
we?
balling. We
Jab and Kenny jab, free balling. We'll call it free balling. We're just rambling. We're
talk
just
about
rambling, right, Kenny?
everything and
Yeah,
nothing all at
anything,
once.
anything. Maybe it's movies, maybe it's video games, maybe it's life. I rewatched Justice League. Oh, no, no.
What a fucking transition, bro.
Yeah.
You should be paid for that
I
transition.
rewatched specifically the Snyder cut.
Uh,
I always thought it was black and white, but I don't
no,
know
they
why I
they
remembered it as
released they released they I think they did a theater release of a black and white.
it's.
It was
They had it
fucking
in
dumb.
but they've always had it in the the 4:3,
Yeah, the weird the square.
the old school TV ratio.
Yeah, I think so.
Uh, yeah, well, I rewatched it and I was just because I do that thing where I'm just like I feel like rewatching this movie, and I sat down and watched all damn near whatever over 3 hours of it, and I just I took a step back. It was just kind of watching. I'm like, you know what? This is actually a decent movie. You know what I mean? Like I just remember having the thinking that the original theatrical cut was, and I know there's a whole history with Joss Whedon and Zack Snyder having to take a step back after the tragedy, all
Yeah.
that, and then so that obviously affected the film, and he had plans beyond that film, and it was just a whole thing. But watching it now, and I'm not the biggest fan of. There's some things I think some of the casting choices were pretty great. I didn't really think much about Cyborg and I forgot his name. I think it's Ray Fisher. I'm not 100% sure, but the Cyborg's casting and thinking that it wasn't that. I was like, he was okay. And then obviously the Flash and even Ezra Miller's like decent. I do think his outside persona and everything that's gone on with him in the news and all that definitely affected my thought process on the character and not being able to separate the two. But um I still even then, like, there are certain things about the Flash that I didn't, I preferred. There's something about the cartoon version that I really like compared to the movie version. When you see him in a lot of the
No,
animated films.
he looked like he was afraid to talk to women too.
Yeah, and honestly, that was part of the things I liked about it. But at the same time, it's like I'm also used to seeing a different type of Barry Allen in the animated series, so I'm still not really sure. Maybe I hope they actually have that portrayal be more in line with that, and I do think that's what James Gunn's going to do is have more the animated series, the shows and the movies and all that, have that be
it's
more of an
it's
influence
what
on the
everybody it's
characters
what
and the
everybody
casting
knew
and all
and what
that.
everybody's familiar with. I mean, they gotta understand, like, there's people who knew the cartoon and that's all they knew, you know?
Right.
And they're
Yeah.
also gonna want to watch these movies. So you can't get
And
all fucking obscure with your references,
yeah. Yeah. And but the
especially if all they
cartoons,
are
like
is references.
the cartoons, I will say, like I do feel like those are generally, people have a positive look on that. I don't really know too many people that didn't like the cartoons.
Oh,
Most
the
people
cartoons
thought
are
that the cartoons were
fantastic,
great.
bro.
Yeah, and
The
a lot of times I'll hear
90s,
people say that the cartoons were better than the Marvel cartoons. That's
bro.
the one place where DC
DC has,
seems to
oh,
thrive at compared to Marvel.
their animated movies are fantastic. It's better than any fucking Marvel show on Disney
They're
Plus,
great. They're great.
dude.
Yeah, there's a lot of them that I hadn't seen, and I just recently started getting into the ones and just watching all the ones that I haven't seen, and Max is great for that. But it's still watching the Justice League.
I should have done this
I
earlier.
did like it. You know what? I had to when I rewatched it. When I watched it the first time, I was like, it's definitely a little bit. It's definitely better than the theatrical, but there's still, I don't know if I would have. I'm okay with the whole reset and everything. But then
Oh, it
watching it, I'm
was,
just like, I still would have loved to seen that kind of conclude and have that whole thing take place. And
yeah,
it's almost like we had a place for this, but then we didn't. We with the way everything turned out, we couldn't. So I'm releasing this thing and I'm putting this as an epilogue. Like the future scenes with the Joker and after Superman going bad and all that, and the dust coat Batman and all that.
yeah, dude. The
Um,
fucking the fact that we saw Doomsday in the Batman vs Superman movie was fucking great. You know, I was
It was
like,
cool. It
it
was
was.
cool. I do also feel like that was very quick. Like it went very fast. It was almost like we should have gotten another Man of Steel before we got to that point. But to me, some of the strongest points of that whole universe was like some of the casting. Henry Cavill as Superman. The internet definitely liked Henry Cavill as Superman, and I thought he was great. I thought he was great. I even was okay with Ben Affleck as Batman. I thought
Yeah,
I think you told me that you had your little trepidations with that too, and then turned out to be he was all right. He was
yeah,
definitely
yeah.
good enough. I'll say that. I don't know if he was like an all timer
I
great compared to some of the other ones,
I
but
don't think there's been a bad Batman yet.
and even Wonder Woman, like
Wonder Woman
Gal
was
Gadot as Wonder Woman,
yeah, that was
and I
really good.
even though Jason Momoa was a big departure from like what we know as Aquaman from the cartoons, to me it kind of worked. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Yeah,
Although I wasn't big of the biggest fans of the movies, his specific movies, but like his the design, the kind of the way he approached it, and when I watched this one, I do notice that because a lot of times Jason Momoa is getting to the point where he's just Jason Momoa in all his different movies. You know what I mean?
yeah, sort of a rock situation.
Yeah, sort of like The Rock, where he's always got that thing. He's always got to put his, and not that I it's but it's just it's more the repetitive part of it. I don't really have an issue
Vin Diesel is
uh
another one.
bringing like he's always doing script doing like that. I don't even know what you would call it. Like it's like like he's like surfing or something, or like that kind of like hype scream that he does when he's about to fight somebody or he's attacking, and it's like a cultural scream. I can't even explain it, dude. I can't even explain it, but he does it like in every movie, right? And they really tone that back. Like they just they're like just they almost got him to like play the part the way that they were hoping to or wanting him to. I just thought that the way that film was kind of put out was just, and the complete story was so much more better than what we saw theatrically. And when just take watching it now, I almost like, because I remember I thought it was better, but then even watching it now, I'm like, yeah, this was actually a pretty good movie. It was actually a good movie.
I
And
am gonna disagree with you, but for a very
okay,
different sentiment.
which
Why
is,
show us all this if you know nothing's gonna come of it?
I
I
mean,
know it
I
was a
see.
push.
I don't even consider that at all because I'm
I
just
know it
like,
was
this
a
was the
push
scenario.
to keep it going, but it's like, dude,
Mm,
Warner
I don't
Brother
know if I
once
agree with that.
once Warner Brothers says they're done with something, they're fucking done with something, dude. They're
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
worst for just giving up halfway through projects.
yeah. They are
They're
pretty bad
fucking.
with
I
that.
don't know how the fuck they got through Harry Potter.
Yeah.
I don't know
I
how they
think he
finished that
just,
shit.
to me, I think they came out with that theatrical, and I get, obviously the whole all that stuff happened, and it is not necessarily, you can't really blame anybody, so it to me it was like, I think he just was like, I really wanted people to see, because people look at this my universe as like this thing that didn't work, when I really believe that it did and would have if I could just execute it the way that I envisioned it.
Yeah.
And
I
he
mean,
he
I'm glad
saw
he
he
got
saw
his
that light at the
movie.
end of the tunnel. He saw the internet kind of behind him on that, and he used that to kind of get this thing off the ground. And it also was a perfect storm with Warner Brothers, with Max and all that coming out, and the whole streaming thing. People were looking for something that they could that would get people to buy into those streaming platforms. And they were, what better way to kind of come out with a movie that doesn't necessarily count, but at this point, but it is a really is something that people would actually at least buy this platform for the time to be able to watch this movie.
Yeah.
And so I think it was a perfect storm for that, to be able to get this movie made, because that shit doesn't happen, dude. Like that, people they never do that. These kind
Yeah,
of
it
companies,
was
they don't
very
do that shit.
uncharacteristic, specifically for
Of
Warner
Hollywood in
Brothers.
general,
Yeah, it was
not even
very
just Warner
uncharacteristic.
Brothers.
No, but
But I
Warner
don't know.
Brothers is, I think, one of like the biggest fucking. They're being investigated by the government right now for fucking making movies and then fucking throwing them out and being like, we had to
The
throw it out.
tax
We
money
lost
and all that.
money.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're fucking horrible. They should
yeah,
lose the
yeah.
rights to all that shit.
But that's
DC
what
should go back to itself, but that's another
yeah.
conversation.
But I do think that, see, I don't think he really was making this movie with like, and I hope this kind of I'm allowed to kind of keep going. And that, I don't. I think he knew it was over, but
He
I
just
think he
wanted
just
to do
wanted to
his movie.
really. He just wanted to do his thing, yeah, and be like, I'm telling you, this is. I really had a vision for this, and I think you guys would have liked it. and it would have worked, man. It would have worked. They just the scenario
Do
happened
they
the
do
the
they
whole
still
thing
have
happened the way it
director's
did.
cuts? Are director's cuts still a thing?
Yeah, yeah, they do that. I mean, it's a Zack Snyder thing, that's for fuck sure. And I don't. Zack Snyder is to me honestly has been kind of hit or miss sometimes. I do like his zombie movies that he tends to do, but like I'm not the biggest fan of the Rebel Moon series at all. And it just it's I don't know, it's a little bit too much sometimes. And then the classic, there is Snyder fatigue, I think. People, because he has a very specific way of shooting film, and the way his movies are made, and it's kind of like Michael Bay. It's like you can only watch so many Michael Bay movies
Yeah,
before
before
you're
you get
just like,
over the fucking screen flare. Oh my god, I
yeah,
hate
the
that
bottom
shit.
angle, the whole signature Michael Bay style. And I think it's the same thing with this. And even like the Wonder Woman movie still had a lot of Zack Snyder in it, you know what I mean? Even though it
Mm.
wasn't his film. And so it was just a lot of, it was getting to that point where it was feeling a bit repetitive, and I think some people were getting fatigued. But then there's also part of it is also the writing too on some of the films too. Like, again, I thought Aquaman could have been so much more better. And James Wan is awesome, dude. Like he's pretty great, at a lot of the other films that he's done. But I don't know. There's something about it that just didn't quite click, and it's maybe just because that character is kind of like the Green Lantern. It's like some of these characters are they're just hard to pull off and make it in a way where it's a universal thing that people tend to that people, all types of people, all types of moviegoers like. But watching this film, like I definitely like watched it the last time I watched it, and it definitely
It
it
hit
just it
different.
sat better with me. It tasted a little better in my mouth. Take that out, Kenny. Don't leave that in there.
Oh,
But
staying in.
yeah, the aftertaste was a little bit better than when I originally watched it. And so it's just I had to take a step back and kind of think about that, and I'm just like, is it just because time has gone by, and you don't have that recent, you watch it and then that
Recency
instinct
bias.
reaction.
Recency
What's
bias is
that?
a thing. Recency bias.
Yeah, recency bias, or even not just bias, but like the opposite of that. Recency. What would you call that? When you just
Unbiased.
immediately go into a negative mindset on something. After you've just watched it, maybe because of some influence from outside factors. But again, it wasn't perfect, but it was definitely like way better. Like it to me, it would have been fine if it all came out the way that it did originally. And they brought home some of the points that they missed from the original theatrical cut. But yeah, I had to bring it up just because to me it was like I was a little bit kind of surprised at how much more I liked it than the first time I saw the Snyder cut. And I'm sitting there trying to figure out like why exactly that went the way it did. But you know uh I don't know if I don't change my mind about the whole director's cut things. I mean, it's just I get it. And David Ayer wants to do the Suicide Squad, his cut of the film. And I don't even know if it's almost like I know what those companies are they're not trying to set that precedent to like, okay, every time this happens, we're
It's
not
weird,
gonna.
dude, because in the age of DVD, remember they always came with a director's cut. Everything had a
Yeah,
director's
they
cut.
had like the directors, and they still do that. But this was a bit more than that. This was like we're needing to basically remake this movie, uh and for this person to have come out with the movie that they want to come out with, as opposed to like we have all this extra material that we had to cut out, but now we're going to put it
Oh,
all
that's
in there.
right. They had to film shit fresh for a lot of it, right?
Dude, there was a lot of scenes that they added. It basically cost more than I don't know the number, but it was I remember it being like a lot more. It like cost like a whole new blockbuster. Like it was the cost of a whole
Jeez.
new block to make a whole new movie almost, just for all
Damn.
those reshoots. And you see the difference. Like Henry Cavill, I think they probably reshot a lot of the Henry Cavill stuff too. The mustache, the whole thing, it's I don't even know if when they did this, I don't even know. I wonder if they redid that scene, or if they just had more time to perfect
The
the
technology.
visual and take it out. But it definitely, it looks a lot better. I will say that. then I remember it looking. I just remember him like it's like he looks like he got stung by a bunch of bees on the lip. Like it just looked weird.
Yeah, looks
In
flat.
the and it was a whole thing. Remember, it was like a big thing leading into the movie. So it just had all this bad press going for it.
You know what
But
though? He shaved his mustache for Deadpool and Wolverine.
I know that. Yeah,
He's like, I didn't make that mistake again.
yeah, yeah. He's like, I'm not. Yeah, well done, well done. I mean, I don't know. Um, I'm okay with him being the Wolverine. Shit, like
The
if they choose
cavalry.
not to have Hugh Jackman be like the Marvel X-Men Wolverine, which would make sense. It'd be kind of weird if they're all of a certain age, unless they're all going to be in their 40s, which I don't know.
Uh,
Uh,
I, I mean, it would. I think it would work,
It would
especially
work
if they
either
can
way,
kind
but
of de-age him.
if they go young, they can't have unless they change his role. You know what I mean, and change his story
Uh,
and make him more of like a mentor type of thing, or maybe somebody that's the reluctant mentor. You know what I mean? But he's not. There's none of that love triangle with him and Jean and
oh yeah,
Cyclops,
they're
and
gonna be teenagers. I forgot.
they won't be able to do any of that stuff. But they can. There's a way that they can work around it if they keep with Hugh Jackman. But at the same time, if they wanted to go with a slightly young, and Henry Cavill's not that like he is younger, but he's not like a teenager or anything like that.
Yeah.
Where like a young 20s. He's already of it. He's getting up to 40, I think, right? And so I don't know, but he did look awesome. I will say that.
Yeah, it was
I
like,
will say he did
and then
look
he did
awesome.
that stupid hand thing that he does in that one movie where he throws one hand down then the other one,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then he punches. All right, but yeah.
He said,
We ended on that. We ended on my acting skills.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, I thought Justice League was pretty good.
Yeah, I'm glad he
People
got his
haven't seen it,
movie. Especially
watch
after
it.
what he went through, and
Yeah.
it didn't make the movie worse. So if you
No,
didn't
dude.
like it, you might. If you didn't like it, maybe you'll like it now. With a little more
Yeah.
info.
Give it another go. Give it another go is what I say. All right. I think that's it for us today.
It's free balling.
We're finding the flow. We're finding the
Yeah.
flow. We're trying to get in it, and it's all right. We on the journey, and those 15 viewers on the journey with us. We appreciate that.
We get it
I,
more, bro. You gotta look at the
oh yeah.
statistics. Look at the statistics. But thank you again,
Is it
guys,
30
for
now?
all the views. We appreciate you guys coming back whenever you guys can and listening to the videos. Um, but if you're new here, give us a follow, drop a like, let us know maybe a subject you guys want to talk about. We normally talk about comic books and movies and more popular stuff, which is why we sort of landed back on this. But we're trying to expand our horizons. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
commentate on stuff. Let us know if there's anything you guys want to talk about, any recent subjects. Drop them in the comments below. And we'll leave you with peace. Fuck the Warner Brothers. Ah.